Right, now for a story that was a particular pleasure to make. Racing in one of Britain's most famous names, Aston Martin.
It was the first ever race in the brand new GT3 European Championship, which promised more drama and action than ever before. It's basically a series for dream cars. Ferrari, Porsche, Lamborghini, Chevrolet, Dodge, Maserati, Ascari and Aston Martin were all there, doing what supercars should, race flat out.
Should be a bit of fun.
It will be a particular thrill because my brand new DBR S9 forms the basis of the new Bond car. It sounds superb and will do 200 miles an hour. There are two other Astons in my Barwell team, making up a massive grid of 45 cars. Keeping an eye on how well I do will be my team's commercial director, Tiff Needell, who is also my brother.
The cars cost approximately £200,000 each. And then to run them for the season is probably about another 200,000. That's paid for by the drivers and their sponsors. Basically, it's a combination of wealthy gentleman drivers who are into their racing and some young guys who are trying to make their name in GT racing. And old codgers like my brother.
But Chris isn't the reason I'm racing in this team. Tom Alexander, the head of Virgin Mobile, asked me to share his car. He used to be a keen racer as a youngster, but quit to pursue his business career. Now he's getting back to his first love.
Absolutely amazing. It's good fun.
So that's your heroes, but every good story needs an arch rival. To be a winner in this championship, you don't actually need to cross the line first. You just have to beat anyone else with the same sort of car as you. For us, that meant the crack squad from BMS Scuderia Italia, and they've got more experience, better sunglasses, and a crew that's won world championships. We'd dearly love to thrash them. Of course, we'd like to beat everyone else as well, and the organisers have tried to equalise all the cars by adding weight and air restrictors, but it's not an easy task. We'd find out just how quick our Astons were in qualifying. 20 minutes for each driver, with Tom going first. Tom may have been a member of the British kart team as a teenager, but with very little time in the car, he's finding the modern world is a steep learning curve. And he was trying desperately not to crash a brand new car he'd just paid 200 grand for. To make matters worse, the handling balance wasn't quite right, with understeer pushing the nose wide in corners.
Did it feel any different?
Yeah, it's understeering
More?
Yeah, it's all understeering.
All understeer, Toby. You going to take the wing down or not? Take the wing down.
Less wing on the back would improve the balance, but reduce our overall grip. Not ideal on such a high-speed circuit.
We've only got 10 minutes between each of these sessions now to get the other driver a new set of tyres and do any little changes we think might make it go quicker. Because the Italians are still setting the Aston Martin pace, and that won't do.
Quickest through the first sector.
Dropping the wing was an improvement, but now we had a traction problem, and fiddling with the settings at 150 miles an hour didn't help.
It is generally good
just understeer, oversteer, understeer, oversteer. It's just lacking grip, really. What position are we?
12. Tiff's 12.
Roger, Dodger. Well, that was it. My 20 minutes of fame. I've achieved item number 1, being the fastest British Aston. But these Italian boys that have had a couple of races before we've even hit the ground have obviously found a trick or two which we've yet to discover, but early days.
We couldn't wait for the races to now try and prove ourselves. Little did we know of the dramas that lay in store. Join us in a moment to find out what happened. We're at Silverstone for the opening rounds of the European GT3 Championship, where Tom Alexander and I have completed our qualifying, with Tom starting race 1 from back in 35th place.
Fingers crossed.
The Italians we wanted to beat were up in 3rd. We'd got a lot of driving to do for a place on the podium. And, to make matters worse, it's now raining. Heavily. What was going to be a difficult race was now going to be a dangerous one. The other 2 cars in our team had also qualified disappointingly, and the team boss knew who was to blame.
If all 3 cars in that session had done their best sectors on the same lap, we would have had all 3 cars in the top 10. So that means that we've done our job, and you haven't done yours.
Oh, no. Because we're inconsistent, because your car is inconsistent.
Oh, okay.
Harry, fence, Barry, engineers, drivers.
No, we know where we're at, but we know that we've got a top 10 car.
Well, now we can test that theory. It's race time.
How you like that?
In slippery conditions, fortune favours the cautious. And once Tom had got a feel for the grip, he soon started moving up the field with some well-judged late braking.
Well, Tom's made up 8-9 places.
There was a potential spanner in the works, though.
It's all a bit tense at the moment because obviously the conditions are drying and we're on wet tyres. And well, most of the field's on wet tyres apart from the Ascaris, which switch to slicks. So they're starting to do quicker times now. So we're just wondering whether to change tyres at our pit stop, which is going to be crucial, obviously, to the second half of the race.
The decision to change tyres in this championship isn't one to be taken lightly.
The regulations only allow 4 mechanics to work on all 3 cars and only 1 wheel gun. So it's not like Formula 1 where a wheel change takes 8 seconds. The wheel change here is going to take like 2 minutes. And if there's 3 cars to do, it could be fun.
So if I go take off, take off, take off, take off, and then we'll end up at the front left. We stay there, change that, and I put back on, put back on, put back on, put back on. I think that's the minimum number of movements.
The driver and tyre change was frantic, but I got away just before one of our Italian rivals. And I soon left him trailing behind as the slick tyres began to bite nicely into the drying tarmac.
Well, the slicks are warmed up, and we seem to be catching people.
I was forcing my way through the pack, moving up 4 places in a few laps. I passed the Dodge Viper on the inside and then... disaster.
Lost all drive, lost all drive. Had a bit of vibration and now I've lost all drive. Parked on runway on the inside of the circuit at Beckett, so you can come and push it back if you wish. Just when it was going so well. Oh.
The only positive note was that my teammates in car 66 had continued to do well.
Well, at least we're beating the Italians. It's just not me beating the Italians. Team is. No consolation at all.
Much to our Italian arch rivals' disgust, my teammates held on to take best in class. For race 2, it was my qualifying time that counted, so we were 13th on the grid, and I was nervous.
And it's raining again. Hello team. Good morning. Welcome to effort number 2. So we beat the Italians yesterday and I can see the Italian now. Yeah. Ciao.
Driving at 100 miles an hour with zero visibility was nerve-wracking. There were a few near misses and some dodgy electrics to contend with.
I have no traction control, and Porsche is too fast on straight.
It took some really delicate driving to feel for the grip and outbrake the Porsches, but I managed to get past and home in on the Italian Aston Martin ahead. I took to the wettest part of the track and tiptoed the car past him. But then...
Oh, you stupid Italian!
He cut me up. But luckily that second impact stopped me from spinning. He'd got knocked off, served him right, and I was now leading the class. But there was a problem.
Fully alongside the Italian and he just turned into me. There's a bit of a vibration from the rear wheel.
It was hard to tell if I'd been damaged or not. 1 minute it was...
Yeah, car seems okay,
And the next it was...
We have no traction, so we're falling backwards. But I could have a damaged rear lift, so you maybe have a look at it. When are we coming in?
I was slipping down the pack and Tom was going to have his work cut out. Before long, the Italians had got back past. In the end, Tom brought us home 20th, a Dodge Viper taking the top spot.
Oh, I'm recovering now, just getting my breath back, but yeah, it was quite hairy out there. Cars going everywhere, just absolutely amazing, but it's good fun.
Overall, this weekend gets chalked up to experience. The team did get a trophy to show off though. I'm just looking forward to the next race in Germany and another meeting with the Italians.
Stupid Italian!